Hey y'all, Jim here with Sunrise Farm. Welcome back. If it happens to be your first time with us, please consider subscribing to our channel right here, liking and sharing the video to help spread it, and hit the bell notification icon to receive messages when we have new videos coming out. I just want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your time to stop by. In today's video, what you see before you is everything we started 3 weeks ago. Today is January 26th, and so we started these the first week of January, and I just wanted to give you an update. It is basically tomatoes, peppers, and celery. And so let me just bring you in a little closer and show you what we got. We got about 300 tomatoes, probably 100 or so peppers, and somewhere in the vicinity of 100 plus celery. Germination's been a little bit of a factor. The celery seems to be a little tough to germinate. A lot of them die very quickly. Could be my experience. If y'all have different experiences, please leave them in the comments below. This is my first time ever growing celery, so it's kind of a unique thing growing it from seeds. And those must be the smallest seeds in the world. They are tough. And of course, peppers always germinate real slow. They're very slow going anyway. So let me just bring you in a little bit closer, show you what we got. So as you can see right here, we have two varieties of tomatoes growing, some Super Choice and some Marglobe. Over here we have Amish paste tomatoes, along with some jalapeno peppers that are starting to germinate pretty decent. And then over here we got Hasinator tomatoes. They're a kind of a large, medium to large size, consistent slicer. We're going to take a deeper look at those in a minute. Here is some celery. That is partially celery right there, along with some cherry tomatoes. And then over here we have a handful of different types of peppers: paprika, habanero, cayenne, and a few what's called Carolina Reaper. Probably one of the top 3 hottest peppers that I know of. And I don't like hot stuff, by the way, but I know people that do. Here's another type of cherry tomato called Sweetie. These produce those big clusters of 15 to 20 at a time. And then here we got some bell peppers that are pretty slow to germinate, and I'm not so sure we're not having some germination issues, to be honest with you. I actually started some more just to make sure yesterday, which you'll see in a video coming out. All right, well, let's just take a close look at a couple items. First of which, if you didn't see the video where I planted the first week of January, you can see that right here. And if you go through the end of that video, you'll see that I made mention that when I seed start trays, that it is not necessary to cover them with anything. Don't need to cover them with dirt, with perlite, whatever. It's not necessary. It's also not an issue if you do it. I do it in certain cases. All right, so what you can see right here is jalapenos on this side. A little slow in germination, but they're coming along. I got several little ones poking up as well. And then over here, we got Amish paste tomatoes that I've had extremely good germination on. You know, you're never going to get 100% germination. So what I was saying is that I didn't cover these. If you saw that video or go back and watch it, I didn't cover these with anything. I merely put the seeds in there and then just kind of snugged them in a little bit to make sure they were in good soil contact. And of course, I've kept them watered, sufficiently. And so you can see there by those results that it is really not necessary to cover your seeds. So if you maybe don't have enough seed starting mix, or you don't have enough perlite, or maybe you just feel like experimenting, yeah, don't hesitate in trying it. The only thing I will say, I did mention it in that previous video, but the one thing I will say that you might have to watch out for is if you're doing this either outdoors, when it's spring and summer, or if you're doing it even in a greenhouse potentially. Be very careful, because if they're open seeds, that is a time, technically speaking, if it's in nature, that birds could come get the seeds, or even something like mice can come get the seeds. So just take that as a precaution. But other than that, germination is really no issue. They have everything they need once you get them tucked into the soil and keep them moist, and of course give them the growing medium of the seed starting mix in the first place to where they can take off and grow. All right, well, let's set that aside, and then let's look at our Hasinator tomatoes that just blow my mind at how well they are growing. Now, I want to say, if you can see how tall those are, they're averaging probably 3, maybe even 4 inches tall already in 3 weeks. They are already have very large first true leaves, and many of them are starting onto their second true set of leaves, which is just amazing to me. The vigor in these plants is outstanding. This is a hybrid variety, and I tend to grow more heirloom varieties so that I can save seeds and keep my homestead rolling, and try to cut a little bit of cost where I can. But I'm also doing market farming, and this is the first year I've grown these potatoes. You know what I mean? Not potatoes, tomatoes. These this is the first year I've grown these tomatoes, and again, they're called Hasinator. And if the name wasn't a giveaway, yes, they come from hostools.com, and there's, as far as I know, they're literally exclusive to that company. Um, they're a little expensive. I wouldn't put them in the exorbitant category, but they're a little expensive. And they're a determinate tomato. Here's the tag for the Hasinator, and then they, on the back, just kind of give you those generalized quick seeding and growing tips. Only 50 come to a pack, and I forgot exactly the price, but they're a little pricey. But their yield is supposed to be great, and their disease resistance is supposed to be awesome. So the germination was probably, I don't know, mid 90 percentile. There was actually, I think, 55 seeds in the packet, and if I remember, I counted correctly, I think I had 49 germinate. So we'll see. I mean, these are getting close to where within another week or two, I'll be potting them up. Of course, I explained in that video I'm going to be potting up tomatoes and peppers anyway, because I can't actually plant these in the ground for another 2 months. We've had a couple of days of 70-degree highs and 60-degree lows. Today's going to be about a high of 76. So a couple of days ago, I started periodically doing some hardening off of these plants, because as they grow a little bit more, all of them, I will have a lot of potting up to do, because I can't plant these until the first week of April. But once they get hardened off, I'm going to leave them outside, much like on this seed starting table and grow table that I have right here. I'm going to leave them outside and just let them be. Let them acclimate to the temperatures. Now, we are having some, about a week from now, 5 days from now, I think it is, we are having some call for back down into the mid 30s. On those nights, I'll take them inside. I'm not going to let them go too much below, say, 50 degrees without taking them inside in the evenings. But for the most part, I want to get them hardened off so that I can carry on with my seed starting another, have the trays back. But one thing I wanted to mention, whether you're going to use these wind strip trays for air pruning on the sides and bottom, or you're going to use the PropTech trays, any type of air pruning from the roots being bound at the bottom has to be done to where it's sitting on something that's mesh, where it's allowing air in the bottom. So for instance, if this was in a flat bottom tray for bottom watering, it's not going to allow air pruning, which means the roots are going to want to grow out the bottom, which, you know, is okay to a degree. But if you want the true nature of air pruning, then it needs to be open to the bottom, which is kind of why my table is designed this way, so that when I leave 4-inch or 1 gallon pots on the table, that they air prune themselves and I don't run into that problem. The main reason you'll run into root rot problem is when you leave them in a particular size growing cell, whether it be one of these, a 4-inch pot, or even a 1 gallon pot, beyond the growth of the plant, and the roots have nowhere else to go. But as far as just air pruning and keeping the plant healthy, wherever you start it, try to start it on something of a mesh. You know, even if it's in a greenhouse or a garage or whatever, try to use some form of mesh style shelving to allow that air to flow in from the bottom as well, as much as possible. I know you don't want water all over your floor, so you have to take certain things with a grain of salt, right? Anyways, that's this update. I just wanted to give you a 3-week update on where we were at since I started these in the first week of January. I would dearly love to know y'all's comments and thoughts. If you got some tips to share with us here at the farm, I'd love to hear those. The key thing for us is to all try to grow together so that we can grow more quality food for ourselves, our families, and in my case, I'm going to do a ministry and try to help feed the community. So it's a big thing on mine and my wife's heart to help people through the power of natural food. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Take care and God bless you. Have an amazing day in the Lord. We'll see you in the next video.